There was a time in my life that I was going through a rough patch, a very rough patch, a life-changing experience. And at that moment, I felt like I couldn't even love myself, and it bothered me a lot that I am in this space. As much as I'm a social worker, I was going through something, and it put me down. But the only thing that made me come out of that dark space was loving myself. I started practicing it. I said, for me to go through this journey of healing, I think I need to start with myself. And guess what? I realized that even that dark space that I was in, one of the reasons was that I didn't love myself enough. I was pushing myself too hard to give something that I didn't have, and it made me to doubt myself and say, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I didn't do well enough. But you know why? Because I didn't start with Ulind. Then I realized that self-care is important. You can never pour out from an empty cup. Always fill your cup. Always make sure your cup is overflowing.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Life with Untitled. Today I will be talking about something that I feel we take for granted, which is self-care. A lot of people, they take for granted self-care, whereas it plays a very important role on our mental health. The reason why we're talking about this, we're still in October, the month of Mental Awareness Month. Today I'm joined by Ulindi Metula, who is a social worker. I know she doesn't play with her self-care. She doesn't. She loves herself. She puts herself first. That is why I couldn't find a better person to discuss this with. Lindy, welcome to my channel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And then tell me, why is it important to you to practice self-care? Why is it important? Because I know you don't play when it comes to self-care. You practice it.
Ms. Noms, I've realized that without me loving myself first, there is no way that I can take that love that I have within and give it to somebody else. And that is what made me, like you just mentioned, not to play with self-care, because the more I love myself, the more I'm able to love the next person. Yeah.
Okay. Realizing it's important, when was that?
There was a time in my life that I was going through a rough patch, a very rough patch, a life-changing experience. And at that moment, I felt like I couldn't even love myself, and it bothered me a lot that I am in this space. As much as I'm a social worker, I was going through something, and it put me down. But the only thing that made me come out of that dark space was loving myself. I started practicing it. I said, for me to go through this journey of healing, I think I need to start with myself. And guess what? I realized that even that dark space that I was in, one of the reasons was that I didn't love myself enough. I was pushing myself too hard to give something that I didn't have, and it made me to doubt myself and say, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I didn't do well enough. But you know why? Because I didn't start with Ulind. Then I realized that self-care is important, and I started enjoying it, and it became part of me. Yeah.
And you're right on what you are saying, because most of the time we tend to forget about ourselves, and we want to impress the next person. You want to be the best at work, you want to be the best mother, you want to do this, you want to do that. And like you are saying, you needed to start with yourself, because you can't give what you do not have. Do you understand? You can't be productive if when inside you are not productive, because it needs to start with you, like you said. But a lot of people, they don't understand the importance of self-care. What do you think is the reason for that? Why do you think people, they don't practice self-care and they don't really care about it?
I think that's a very important question, and it's what made me so excited when you said we're going to have this conversation, because it starts there. People don't realize, people don't take it serious. In fact, people, myself included, then we don't realize how important self-care is. But the reason, from what I've looked at and people that I've conversed with, myself included, is that the way we are socialized, when you practice self-care, we are tagged as being selfish. Yes. You are tagged as, you mentioned being a parent, being a mother. When you practice self-care, you are tagged as not being good enough, or choosing yourself over other people as being taboo, as being wrong. You understand? So we are scared. We are scared to love ourselves, because if I do this, if I bring myself first, they will say I'm not a good mother.
That's right.
You are told your kids come first, your husband come first, your in-laws come first. And that is what put people in mental illnesses, because you practice this and you find yourself in this pit because you didn't start with me, with yourself. So people are scared because they don't want to be tagged as not being loving enough.
And they want to be perfect in the face of people, in the face of the
Very
society.
dangerous.
I've got someone that I know, even when you visit her, she wouldn't allow you to touch anything to help her. She's that person. She's very busy working in mother. And one time I was like, no man, this is not normal. I could see her life and I could say, something is wrong here. And one time I asked her, are you okay? She said to me, yeah, I'm fine. I said, no, but are you okay? Because we never ask you if you're okay or not. We only look at you and you do all these things for us, and we don't really care when are you okay and who does these things for you. And then she started opening up to me. She said, actually, Nomsa, I am not okay. I'm stressful. How I wish I could leave these kids, my husband, and go and be alone. So do you see how it damages you? Because you're pretending to be this, but deep down it's eating you. You are exhausted. You are burnt out. It's so wrong. Do you understand? And I think it's high time for people to start talking and even ask people around you, are you okay? And another thing that I realize is that because you want to be perfect, you want to be the great mother, and you want to do everything, and sometimes you don't even have time for yourself, even when you get home. Start delegating, even in your own home.
Very important.
Start delegating. Don't want to be a super mom. You're not going to get a medal. Instead, you're going to crash, you're going to burn out, and how are you going to look after those children that you're doing this for? Do you understand? If you get sick, how are you going to be able to look after them? So it's very important, guys, to look after yourself.
Sorry, you mentioned something very important. Imagine that person that you were conversing with. Can you see, she was being honest because you had to probe, which means you noticed something.
Exactly.
But the important part I just picked up there is that she was honest to say, I need to go away, I need to leave my kids. That is where it comes in.
Exactly.
Society, family will say, this is not a good mother. Which mother wants to leave their kids? Exactly. So you are tagged as not being good enough. And that's self-care.
Exactly.
Going away, taking your time, going for whatever that makes you happy and relax, it's self-care.
Exactly. And she understood when she said, I wish I could just go away and whatnot. She realized that I actually need time to myself. Do you understand? But obviously she's scared to say it out loud, to say, hey, Baba, to the husband, I need to, because she's also scared, what will he say?
Yes.
You understand? And then, so what's the other important thing why people should practice self-care? Besides the ones we've shared, do you have any?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, if you practice self-care, you see life differently, because with me, if you allow me to be specific, I started picking myself up. I started seeing life differently. I started having the energy. Remember, we're talking about mental health. Yes. When you are not mentally well, you don't have energy, which is one of the signs of depression. But when you start taking care of yourself, that energy comes back. That self-confidence comes back. That self-worth You know, you feel I'm worthy enough. And those are healing pointers. You will start healing, and because you're looking at yourself in a positive way.
Exactly.
Your energy comes back, and again, you pour out, you know, you pour out from what you've invested in. Remember, when you're practicing self-care, you are pouring into yourself. You are equipping yourself with all these things. So by the time you come out of you are pouring out positive, you know, positivity into the people that you love.
Exactly. And like she's saying, you are investing in yourself, you are pouring into yourself. So self-care is not something you only do once. You understand? It's something you can do maybe every week, whenever you get time. And then you get a lot of people that would say, I don't have time, I don't have money for self-care. There are many things you can do that doesn't need money, that doesn't need many hours. Do you understand? For an example, one of the things you can examples of self-care, if you enjoy a cup of coffee, make yourself that cup of coffee. If you enjoy dinner, do that. I mean, a relaxing bath. What else? There are many.
Taking a walk, you know, you take a walk, there's fresh air outside, it doesn't need money. Thank you for that, because most times we think, I don't have money for membership in the gym, you know, I don't have money to travel. Those things require finances.
Yes.
But I like that you can practice it without popping out money.
You don't have to pay for a facial. I mean, there are many. You've got the ingredients at home to mix and make something for a facial. Do you understand? You already have makeup. If makeup makes you feel good, you already have makeup. I mean, it's part of your cosmetics. You take it to make yourself look good. You didn't pop up an extra money. It's something
that is there already.
That you can do whenever you feel like doing it. When you're feeling down, do it.
Music.
Your favorite
music. You just play a song that you love. You use it, put your earphones in your lounge. You play that music that brings out that joy within you. That is also self-care.
Exactly. Your favorite TV program?
Other people will just go do window shopping. It peps you up. Find ways. I think people need to have that thing of self-exploring and say, what really makes me happy? Because self-care for you might not necessarily be self-care for myself. So this also should assist people to say, what really makes me happy?
Exactly. What relaxes me? Because what's important is that self-care, whatever you do that relaxes you, you know, it helps you, you know, to maintain your mental health. Obviously, it doesn't it doesn't heal you, but at least you are able to control your mental health. You are able to be in control of your mental and physical health. So it's very important. And also practicing self-care can also help you not if you're having mental issues, whatever, it will help you so they don't get worse.
Yes.
Because if you don't practice self-care, it will get worse and you end up being admitted to a mental institution, and we don't want that.
Yes.
We don't want that.
Because self-care actually means I love myself.
Exactly.
You know, but not practicing it might give you that negative feedback of not loving yourself, and it will put you down more. But the more you feel you love yourself, the more that will pep you up, you know, hence the importance of self-care.
So it's very important, guys. Self-care is important. It's not being selfish. Putting yourself first is very important. I know we have busy lives. We all have busy lives that we don't have time for ourselves, but it's very important to put yourself first. For an example, if you are working, right, and you don't make time for yourself, if you are to get ill, very ill, the same employer that you wanted to impress, because it will be costing them money if you have now to stay at home for more than a month or two, they will replace you just like that.
It's reality.
Exactly. So you should put yourself first, because those people are also putting themselves first. They're putting their companies first, you know.
And I think what's important for parents, I'm just sitting here thinking that somebody out there might say, but I find it very difficult to love myself. I just need to point out that we need to feed confidence into our children. Remember, we might talk about it and it sounds nice, But for somebody out there who's not had it easy, especially as children, remember what we feed into our children is what they will become.
Yes.
Some people are finding it difficult to practice self-care because love is something that is strange to them. You don't know love because you were never loved. Let's rectify it. We've seen it happening a lot of times. We can't be perfect, but let's be happy parents with all the challenges that we have, because what you put into your children, put confidence, be proud of them. They come home, come from school, put confidence in them. Show them you're proud of them. Tell them they're special. Give them hugs. Play with them. That is what makes it easy for people when they grow up to own their happiness. It starts there. You know, that let's not take that for granted, because someone out there will be like, all my life as a child I was abandoned, whatever. We have different kind of stories. So as a result, as an adult, how do you think I can even tackle loving myself, because I don't know what love is? Parents, put love into your children.
And on what you are saying regarding, loving our children, and I think it's also very important that we are very aware what we say to our children, because it affects them when they are grown. You know, it affects their behavior. I was talking to this other lady. She was telling so she has issues with the baby daddy. So she was telling me, Uti, even the boy hates him, and you know, I said to her, please be careful, because now this boy, her boy is still in primary. He's still in primary, but you're feeding him all these negative things that he is not supposed to hear. He's not, at his age, he's not supposed to be worried about your problems, everything that you are going through. Don't feed him that, because that's what he's going to become. Do you understand? He obviously, if you're gonna feed Umdanako all these negative things about his dad, about how you're suffering, and all that, they are building up.
You know,
they are building up. Obviously, they're affecting him in a very, very negative way, that he would become something, an angry person. He would have anger issues when he's grown, you know, and he is a boy. He is going to grow to be a man. What kind of a man is he going to be to his wife, to his girlfriend? That is why today we've got this society with people that are angry, with people that are abusive. I think it's very important to choose what we say to our children. It's important to choose what we do with our children, because it affects them in the long run. Not we've got things that we do today because of our past, because of what our parents did to us, what our parents said to us. So let's be very, very careful on what we say and what we do with our children. You might think you're venting out, but for his age, you're not supposed to.
Yes, very true.
And also, when we're saying practice self-care, so obviously on what I just said, self-care is not a substitute for a professional help. If you feel your mental health is suffering, consult, go seek help, ask for somebody, you know, to talk to, you know. But however, it does help you to maintain whatever that you are, or to maintain your mental health, so it doesn't worsen.
Yes, yeah, very, very important. Speak to somebody you trust. You know, there's counseling platforms everywhere. Do not sit there with that issue. Mental health is a very serious issue, and it starts, you know, anything can cause it. If you feel different, if you feel I'm not okay, please come out, talk to somebody. Very, very important. The self-care issue is one of the tools that you will be using, because even in therapy they will give you tools to cope. So self-care is one of the tools that you will be using to cope, whether you're going for therapy or not, but it's one of the things that will lift you up.
And another thing, us as family, let's support each other. You know, let's see when something is different. You must notice when Ulindi starts to have a different behavior. You must notice when your child is having a different behavior. And another thing why people are also scared to speak out about mental issues, it's because of the stigma in our society. I don't know what we need to do, you know. to educate our people ukuthi self-care is not a taboo. It's mental health is not a taboo. It's something that is out there. It doesn't care about color, age, education, race. Anyone can experience it, and it's not because you are cursed. It can be because of what you it's caused by many things. And another thing, guys, you need to know, mental issue, especially as black people, when somebody is got mental issues, we jump to say bamloile. Do you understand? And now if you're gonna say bamloile, I mean they've bewitched the person, you're not gonna look for the right help for them. You're gonna run to sangomas, and those sangomas are not gonna help. Instead, they're gonna make it worse because you'll be frustrating this person. Take them to a professional, to a psychologist, to a psychiatrist. That's where they're gonna get the help they need, not from some kobela. I think it's very important to
very
know.
important.
It's not about being bewitched, because we like that, say, hey bamloyi, hey senya kichima, hey nyakukobela, and you're gonna make things worse. You understand?
Yes.
And if you make things worse, some people now, they tend to drinking alcohol, they tend to doing
all these substances to numb the pain. They are not dealing with it. But I like what you just said, Miss Nomsa, because I deliberately mentioned it when we started an interview that I'm a social worker, but at some point I was going through a rough patch. There's this thing that we assume that some people are immune to pain. That is why people find it difficult to come up. At some point it was difficult for me to come up because I'm this person who's supposed to be strong. I mean, I'm a helper, I'm a counselor, people look up to me. So how can I say I'm going through mental illness? So I learned the hard way, which is what I'm using now in different platforms to say anybody goes through it. The most through mental illness, the most important thing is how you manage it, how you deal with it. But to repeat what you said, I can't repeat it enough. Let's stop saying, they have money, those people with big cars. It doesn't choose, like she has just said. Anybody can have it, and if you think you are immune, you will not deal with it. Doesn't matter. No profession, no color, no money will make you to be immune from it. So if you're seeing signs that she's just mentioned, your sleeping patterns have changed, your eating habits have changed, the way you socialize with people has changed, look at yourself. I think it's important that people get that guidance. Search yourself and say, I'm different. Those are signs, and then start seeking help. Yeah. And you are right when you're saying, Guti, it was difficult for you. I can only imagine how difficult it was for you to go and seek help. And I'm sure when you're doing that, or before you decided to go and seek help or whatever, I'm sure you would feel like people are watching you, and you wouldn't want to disappoint these people watching you. But because you're a social worker, you're taking all our problems in, you also need to go. I'm actually the one who's supposed to scream for help, but because of how society, like, I hope to be exact, the person who noticed that I wasn't normal anymore was my colleague. And to show you that it's a societal thing that people who are in this profession don't get problems. When he mentioned it, he was even scared, and he's the one who made me go for therapy, because he said, I think you should go for help, or maybe it won't help because it's in your line of duty. Already he can see, he has identified that I need help, but he's also worried, like, how can this kind of person needs help? You understand? He has identified, but immediately he said that I realized that a lot of things have changed. Look at me. I healed, and it feels great. It really feels good. So anybody can go through it. So guys, I hope this was very informative, educational, and let's take our mental health very serious. Any words of closing or anything you want to share? Yeah, I think most importantly, watch yourself closely, watch those around you, and look for signs, because people even are able to hide it, and people are not able to come out and say, I am not okay. And most importantly, keep loving yourself. You can never pour out from an empty cup. Always fill your cup. Always make sure your cup is overflowing. And all the best.
And that's it from us. I'll see you on the next upload, and goodbye and God bless.
Goodbye. God
Thank
bless.
you.